Yay. Well, you guys, welcome to How to Make Money and Make a Difference. I wonder if you've ever thought that you could make money and make a difference. So we are here with Cami Baker, creator of The Unfair Advantage and also the Charitable Gifting of Real Estate 101 Bootcamp and this amazing week-long masterclass, you guys, a week-long masterclass. I wonder if you've ever thought, wow, I'd really love to know more about Cami. I'd love to know more about making money and making a difference. I'd love to actually give giant chunks of money to the charity or the nonprofit that I care about. For myself, oh my goodness, I've been on so many boards. I've been trying to head up bake sales and galas and different things like that. Did you guys know that about 75% of the money that goes into putting on a gala is what people spend on the gala? And maybe if you're lucky, 25% of the money goes to the people who make money the gala's about. Oops, that's me on the other side. So let me tell you some cool things about Cami Baker. Cami was born in Key West, Florida, and she was adopted at 9 months old. And having grown up in Georgia, Cami really knows how to make a mean pot of mashed potatoes, or taters, as she says. And as a single mother, Cami got sober when her daughter was 2 years old. And her daughter Haley is now 21 years old, and nobody makes Cami laugh harder than her little Pooh Bear. And so I'm going to switch over to Cami, but before I do, I need to tell you guys how special Cami is. She's really a remarkable human being, and there's nobody who has a heart bigger than Cami. So grab your piece of paper, pull yourself up to your phone or your computer and get ready to find out about listing today. And if it's not on your calendar for the rest of the week, it really needs to be on your calendar for the rest of the week. So here's Cami.
Yay! Thank you, Jennifer, for helping to facilitate this training. And let me see if I can. Oh, that's okay. We'll just leave Jennifer there. Look what an awesome photo of Jennifer she has over there. I could not be more thrilled than to share with you how to make money and make a difference. Now, I want you to go and get your copy of the workbook. And if you don't have it yet, Jennifer will put in the comments below the link to go to get your workbook, because you're going to want to have this every day this week as you are watching and going through, because today we're going to be talking about what it looks like to be licensed to list. Licensed to list makes me think of the James Bond. But before we get into that, as I've been talking to lots of new people that I've never met before, I know that some of you have been following me for years and doing lots of different ways of making money and making a difference, or building your real estate career, or nonprofits that I've played with. But some of the folks on here are new to the Cami Baker train. So let me just share with you the reason why this program is so different than other programs is because I have invested about $300,000 in my own coaching and mentoring and programs, and learning sales techniques and handling objections and body language and tonality and personality styles. And believe you me, if there is a coaching program out there, or a book or a seminar, from walking on fire to role playing to holding a stranger and crying in your seat to handing out business cards, this one has been there. And what I know is what real estate agents want, what they don't want, what nonprofits need, what they don't need, and how we can all come together and make money while we make a difference. Now, if you're watching this video, it's because you already know how to make money. You're already a seasoned real estate professional. You're already a nonprofit who's helping people with breast cancer or saving the animals or feeding our veterans, et cetera. And you already know how to make a difference. If you didn't know how to make a difference, if you weren't heart-centered and visionary, you wouldn't be someone who would have been attracted to this material. But what this is going to do is truly bring together both of those for you so that you're making money while you make a difference. So as Jennifer was mentioning in my 10 fun facts about Cami, I got sober when my daughter was about 2 years old. I went to pick her up from daycare one day. It was a fall day, very similar to right now. It was about 5 p.m. in the afternoon, and I stumbled into the daycare and I bent down to pick up my daughter. It was Mommy and Me weekend. And as I held her up in my face, I could smell the alcohol from my own breath in her face. And I had a moment of clarity of, wow, she doesn't know what this smell is, but she will very soon. And how did I go from being 8 years old and selling gum to other kids at a 500% markup and then loan sharking that money out for high interest and holding collateral and owning a bar on Panama City Beach when I was 23 years old, a huge bar across from the beach, and just all these things, all these, really go-getter visionary things that I had been doing all my life, to now showing up in New England at 5 p.m. drunk to pick my kid up. And I just realized, have you ever been in that place where you know that all the decisions you've been making have led up to this moment, and good, bad, or indifferent, everything that's going on is of your own doing? And I just had that moment. And when I got sober, one of the first things I had to do was get a new job or career or income path, because on top of being an alcoholic, I also, my boyfriend, my boss, and my drinking buddy was all the same person. So when I got sober, I was also unemployed. And so I got a job at a real estate office. I answered an ad in the newspaper. And as a matter of fact, if you don't have a copy of my book, you soon will. And in the book, I talk about how I answered an ad in the newspaper and became the listing coordinator for an agent who did 125 deals a year. And I did more listing packets, BPOs, closings, house descriptions, photos, all that type of thing in the first year of being his assistant than a lot of the agents I've met over the last 20 years have done in their whole career, because he was just really, really a prospector, and he did a lot of business, and that's why he hired me. But what happened was, about a year and a half into working for this gentleman, he took me with him to a Mike Ferry conference. And if you've ever heard of Mike Ferry, and if you haven't, he is hardcore prospecting. And I learned at the Mike Ferry organization at that event that I too could start making these phone calls and knocking on doors and building a business. And so I did. And one of the first things I did with one of the first big commission checks that I got was I had a picture of my dream car on the wall right above my phone. And as I was making those calls, I was looking at that 1964.5 Mustang convertible, and I wanted that car. And when I got that car the first year with my first big commission check, I had that car in about 9 parades and car shows that first year. And one of the places that we called to find out if they had a car show said, no, we don't have a car show, but we'd love to have one. Would you like to sponsor it? And I said yes. And so I ended up sponsoring this antique car show for 7 years. But at the very first show, just out handing out flyers and doing the promoting the best I could. I've always been a guerrilla marketer. I'm not afraid to work. I'll get out there and roll up my sleeves and get dirty with the best of them. And so I got 50 cars at that show. And as they were pulling up to register, they all had a $20 bill in their hand. Now, mind you, this was 18 or so years ago when it was all cash kind of back then. And as they had these $20 bills, we weren't taking them. But my assistant said, why aren't we taking their money? And I said, well, because we're doing the car show to promote ourselves. And it's got CamiBaker.com and Remax all over it. And we had the news and all these people there. I said, we didn't do this to make a couple $100, but I got to thinking 50 cars times $20, $1,000, lots of places could use that money. So I found a nonprofit that I started to donate that money to every year. It's called the Live and Let Live Farm in New Hampshire. And we gave that money to rescue horses every year. And I learned through that process that people really love when you're doing something good in the world. Now, I loved horses. I love animals. I've always wanted to do good things. When I did that, I had the opportunity to have my daughter with me. So she was with me when we were handing out flyers at the car show. She used to walk alongside me when we were doing parades and hand out CamiBaker.com Frisbees. In other words, I wanted to bring my family and fun and making money and making a difference and all that together. And I sure did do that with those car shows. But what it also taught me was there are a lot of people out there who didn't know how to make money and make a difference. They were either volunteering and doing all this good stuff in the world, but they weren't building their business, or they were so busy building their business that their heart was on hold. They weren't doing all the philanthropy that they wanted to. So it's all of this experience with real estate and nonprofit and, really knowing how to, I literally invested $300,000 in learning how to make phone calls and door knock and stand the right way at the door I learned all of that stuff. And I've taught it to real estate agents too. And I know that if you're a real estate agent, you're not crazy about picking up the phone and calling expireds or for sale by owners or going and knocking on doors. You may do it, but it's not something that just makes your heart sing. And I also know that if you're a nonprofit, that all the committee meetings and all of that coming together to figure out how to do fundraising is just not working like it used to. So a few months ago, I go to a conference and I hear for the first time in my life, charitable gifting of real estate. And the way that they were presenting it helped me to see that this was not just giving $100 at the closing table. It wasn't just committing to 10% of my commission to nonprofits that I loved. This was very, very different. And I learned that there was a way that we could bring the charitable gifting of real estate in to help any and all nonprofits. You can benefit from charitable gifts of real estate. So later on this week, I'll be introducing you to the specialized nonprofit that I partnered with that makes these deals so much more easy and effortless and risk-free for the nonprofits and full commission for the real estate agents. I just want to give you a little bit of that history because after making tens of thousands of phone calls and knocking on all those doors and going on those listing appointments and knowing what it's like to compete with other agents and to compete for my commission and to be at networking events with 8 or 10 other realtors. Everybody stands up and says the same thing. Hi, I'm your friendly neighborhood realtor. I give the best service in town. I sure would love your referrals. And there's 8 others saying about the same thing. So my point is this whole program and what you're going to be learning this week is based on years and years and years of experience with knowing what realtors need and want, what nonprofits need and want, and how to bring it together to make it so easy and profitable for everyone. So you will notice that in the first page, right after the 10 fun facts about Cami, is the 4 pillars. And you'll notice that in your workbook, there's a lot of blank spaces. And the reason that they're blank is so that you can fill them in along with me and stay engaged with what we're doing here so that you are learning as you're going. So the 4 pillars of how to make money and make a difference. Pillar number 1 is what we're going to be talking about today. List, licensed to list, just to keep it fun. We're going to talk today about how when you list a property through this process, there's no competition and there's full commission. We'll talk about what that looks like. On the second day, on day number 2, the pillar number 2 is liquidate. Liquidating is hot, fundraising is not. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Pillar number 3 is leverage. And ladies and gentlemen, this is when it gets really fun because I know that if you're on here and you're a real estate agent, you know how to list a property, you know how to sell it. but are you leveraging it? And I know that you aren't leveraging it the way that we will be, because we're going to be really bringing in that cause marketing aspect, letting people know that the majority of the proceeds are going to the veterans, or that all of the proceeds are going to 3 different nonprofits in your area. In other words, when we learn how to leverage it to get in front of the media, social media, the neighborhoods that you're in, the other realtors, imagine getting deals from other realtors. Pillar number 4 is legacy. Legacy. Leave a lasting, lucrative legacy. We're going to talk about how it's not just you. It's not just you and your legacy. It's the legacy that your clients can leave, that your community can have, that your nonprofit can leave. And not just your nonprofit, but what about 10 or 20 or 100 other nonprofits in your marketplace that are not just giving you listings, that are not just bringing deals to the table with you and for you, but all the legacy, like the ripple effect of how making money and making a difference and donating real estate to nonprofits will feed millions of people and save millions of kids from human trafficking. Like, there's so many nonprofits that I'm passionate about, and I know that you are too. And that's why we're here together. Now, we're also going to be having different bonus sessions. Like on Friday, I'll be introducing you to the ideal seller. And on Saturday, we're going to be talking about the 20 plus sources of sizzling hot sellers, which are all the different places that I used to get listings from back in the day. And it's not just for sell by owners and expireds. There's 20 other different places that I'll bet you haven't thought of. And as a matter of fact, if you make a comment in this video, Jennifer will be posting some things. And if I ask a question for you to post, like right now, just post, "I'm watching." "Cami, I'm here." If you make a post like that in every one of the videos between now and Friday, then on Saturday, when we go over the 20 plus sources of sizzling hot sellers, I'll make sure that you actually get the PDF with all of them lined out. And I'll make sure that you get the 24 videos that go with that. Videos are 3 to 10 minutes a piece of each one of them, and different stories about the different sellers that I would get with those folks. Now, remember to ask questions and have fun. That's what the blanks are. Ask questions, have fun. Throughout this whole Make Money While Making a Difference masterclass, because one of the biggest things that I love about what has been created here is that this is fun. This isn't about selling. I have zero interest in selling you anything. And I have zero interest in teaching you how to sell somebody something. This is about informing, educating, letting you know that this is a possibility. The train's leaving the station and you can get on it with us. This is about informing your clients, letting them know that you are a charitable gifting of real estate specialist, or that you and your nonprofit accept charitable gifts of real estate. This is about simply informing and letting people know, and the right people will raise their hand and say, you know, I've been trying to donate a piece of real estate to the Boy Scouts, and they said that they won't take real estate. And you can say to them, that's okay, Bob. Let's get that property donated. And when it sells, we'll make sure the Boy Scouts get however much of it that you want them to get. In other words, one of the best ways to get the attention of a nonprofit is to walk in the door with a check for $38,000 or $52,000 or $300,000. Just 3 weeks ago, one of these properties was sold, and a check for over $300,000 was mailed to Fidelity Charitables in Boston from a property that was sold in Denver. And the contact who found our system, our specialized nonprofit, was in California. So I just want to plant the seed for you that this isn't just about property in your town. It doesn't have to be a piece of property that is in the town of the nonprofit. It can be anywhere. It could even be in different parts of the world, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So now remember, these recordings are going to come down on Tuesday at midnight next week. So I know not everybody can be here at 1 p.m. Eastern every day, but you can watch it in the evening. You can start to invite your friends. You want to invite people to be a part of what we're doing. This is about creating community and unity, and making money and making a difference. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. You know, if you're a real estate person, you need a title company. You might want to have realtors all over the country that you can partner with and get referral fees from. If you're a nonprofit, you need to have a realtor in here with you to understand what we're doing. So the recordings come down on Tuesday. Make sure that anyone that you invite, if it's, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, by the time you invite them, they can go back and watch them, but they will come down on Tuesday next week. So let's get into day one, licensed to list. Number one, there's a blank right before the word competition. And I want to spend a little bit of time on this because I know that some of you do not want to compete, makes your heart hurt, it feels icky and salesy. You'd love to not be walking down the driveway and seeing another realtor pulling up the street or walking up the driveway, going in to give them another presentation to compete with you. But some of you like to compete. You're very competitive and you want to compete, but you also want to be number one in the competition. And some of you would like to shift from competition to collaboration. So when I say no competing, no competition, I want to give you a couple of different reasons why this is. And keep in mind that License to List, today's topic and material around listing with no competition and full commission, really comes from a place of someone who has been on, you know, if I had known back then what I know now, I would have counted up every phone call I made, every follow-up call, every door I knocked on, every listing appointment that I went to, every listing I took, every listing I lost, every listing I sold, just to have the numbers. But I'm telling you, it's in the thousands. And if anyone knows what it's like to have to learn, you know, scripts around objection handling and why I'm better than the other guy or why I'm worth more commission than the other guy, it would be me. So this all comes from a place of, thank God we don't have to do that anymore if we don't want to. So when I say no competing, imagine that you have your nonprofit that you love. I'm going to say it's veterans just for this conversation, insert whatever you love. And you let them know that you are a charitable gifting of real estate specialist and that they too can benefit from charitable gifts of real estate. And there's someone in that, in the donor list who may have already mentioned to them. It could have been yesterday, it could have been last week, it could have been last year. Somebody in there has already said, hey, you know what, I'd love to donate this property. And now that you let them know that you can actually handle that transaction, now you have a listing. Now, there's more nuances to that. We're going to talk about how the specialized nonprofit that we are partnered with technically is the one that takes the property to give that donor their tax advantage. There is a donation agreement that is agreed to and signed so that when you list the property with our specialized nonprofit as the seller, that whatever proceeds that donor wants to go to the veterans or the church or the Boys and Girls Club, it's all written out. It's all right there. But from the perspective of competition, think about it. The Veterans Group has had people say that they would donate property. They couldn't take it. They didn't know how. You come to the table and you say, hey, I can help you with this. First of all, do you really think they're going to shop around and say, oh, well, you know, Jennifer, that's awesome that you can do that. Let us ask around and see if anybody else can do that too. Look, you are the go-to expert. You're the one that brought this to their attention. Of course, you're going to be the one that lists the property. And on top of that, because you're partnered with us, because we have educated you and informed you and brought all of this to your attention and made you competent in what we're doing here, you are the listing agent. Now, to have the unfair advantage, which is our elite group, which is our application only, you must qualify to have the unfair advantage. You're going to need to be seasoned and professional and well-mannered and well-spoken and present yourself well. In other words, when we say there's no competition because we hire you, when we hire you at a full commission, guaranteed, well, that is assuming that you know what you're doing, that you're a great representation, that you're easy to get along with, that you're professional, that you're competent. So with all of that being said, you're our partner, you're our student, you're our collaboration constituent. There is no competition. It's your listing. You brought it to the table, number one, right? Now, number two on your workbook, and if you don't have it, make sure you reach out to Jennifer and get it, or look in the feed because it shows where you can get it. Number two, it says the word full in a blank line. So fill in on that line, commission, full commission. So no competition, full commission. Cami, how can you possibly guarantee that? How can you say full commission? Don't you know that commission is taboo and we don't talk about commission in real estate? You know, people have been asking me, are you a licensed realtor? What company do you work with? Who do you represent, etc.? I have my real estate license. I've had it for, 18 years now. It is actually in, what do they call it? Inactive. And even though I could hang my license with XYZ company and build a team over here and get referrals for this and that over there, I don't want anyone telling me what I can and can't do and can and can't say. So when I talk about commission, there is no one who governs me. I'm not part of the board of realtors. I'm not part of any of the other names of any companies out there. And that's specifically strategically because I want to teach you the truth. I want to teach you exactly how to take these listings, how to find them, how to get full commission without anybody saying, excuse me, you can't say that. Oh, but I can. Oh, but I can. And there's a lot of reasons why you're going to learn that the commission is a full commission. So if this specialized nonprofit, who will be revealed to you by the end of the week, got to dangle a little bit of a carrot, got to keep you around. And look, you don't need to use us. You don't need to use this specialized nonprofit. Charitable gifting of real estate has been around since 1917. United States government said way back in 1917, hey, we would love for our citizens to be much more philanthropic. If you'll donate a piece of real estate to a 501c3, we will give you tax benefits that you will not get any other way. And you'll be learning about that as we go along. So it's been around for 100 years. It's not something that I invented, nor my partners. It's a tax law. But the reason why you've never heard of it, and the reason why your nonprofit doesn't accept charitable gifts of real estate, and the reason why it's not taught to financial advisors and real estate people, et cetera, is because 99.9% of nonprofits simply say no. If you say, hey, I've got a check for $5,000 cash, and I've got this beach house that my family hasn't used in 30 years, we'd be happy to donate to you. It's valued at $300,000. 99.9% of nonprofits will take the $5,000 cash all day long because, and we will get into this more in the boot camp that I'll tell you about later. There's a lot of reasons for that, but ultimately they don't have a real estate department. They don't know how to do this. They don't have the funds it would take to fix the property up or hold it for the next 90 days while it's on the market, et cetera. It's just too complicated and complex. Now, if there is a nonprofit that you know that says, you know what, we'll give it a go. We'll take that property. We'll try to figure it out. Awesome. You don't have to use us at all. It's on the tax books, but 99.9% are just going to be confused and say no. That's why we are here to help bridge that gap. So it's a full commission because we say it is. We are the seller. We are the person who's hiring you. Not me personally, but my partners are. And my partners are seasoned commercial real estate agents who are philanthropic. And between the three that I'm envisioning in my mind at 20, 30, 40 years of real estate and philanthropic experience behind each one of them, they know how this works. So when I was doing my research around charitable gifting of real estate, before I created the alliance and pulled all these pieces together to make this beautiful puzzle, I did speak to several different groups that I thought might fit the bill for this. But there were all these bean counters or attorneys or people that could facilitate the transaction, but they weren't friendly, they weren't easy to communicate and collaborate with, and they didn't understand real estate to the point where if they had been our bridge, you would have been lucky to get 1% because they just don't value the real estate agents the way that my partners do. So when I was speaking with them, I said, let me get this straight. You've been doing these deals for years, and usually someone with a piece of property wants to donate to a certain nonprofit. That nonprofit doesn't take real estate. So however they find you, they say, hey, specialized nonprofit, we want to donate this money to our veteran group. They can't handle the transaction. Can you do it for us? And you've been saying, yeah, we can do that. And let's say the property's in Phoenix. And so now that specialized nonprofit calls a realtor in Phoenix. Hey, realtor, got this property, want to list it, give you a full commission. Would you like that listing? And the agent says, sure, of course I do. Transaction's done, and everybody walks away. Everybody's happy. It was an easy transaction, but it was a reactive transaction. Here's the difference between reactive and proactive. Proactive means I said, so you're experts at these deals. There are property owners that want to make the donations. There are realtors who will get a full commission, but nobody knows that this is happening. What if we actually educated and informed and trained the real estate agents who are seasoned, heart-centered, and visionary and coachable, and the visionary nonprofits? What if we spread the word so that they could be proactive instead of reacting to someone randomly calling out of nowhere? What if they proactively let people know that this nonprofit is benefiting from charitable gifts of real estate and this real estate agent is the specialist? Oh boy. So my partner said, Cami, when you talk to those realtors, you tell them we give a full commission because we know how hard they work. We're real estate agents. We're not taking a referral fee. We're not taking the listing. Do what you do best, refer the rest. Do what you do best, refer the rest. You'll hear us say that a lot. What they do best is handle these transactions. What you do best as a real estate agent is list and liquidate. What you do best as the nonprofit that you represent is feed the veterans or home the homeless or help the environment. And what I do best is strategize as to how we can all be proactive and work together. So full commission is because we are hiring you. We are hiring you and we want to give you a full commission, assuming that you're seasoned and professional and easy to get along with and all that fun stuff. And on the flip side of that, let's just say, for example, it wasn't us. We're not the ones hiring you, but you're the one that knows how this works. And you bring it to the attention of your community and you bring it to the attention of that nonprofit and that high net worth client, et cetera. You're the only one that does it. It's supply and demand. You have the supply of knowledge. They have the demand for someone like you, and there is no one else. why wouldn't you ask for a full commission? Why wouldn't you get a full commission? Even if we weren't part of the deal. So full commission is something that we'll continue to talk about when we get into the boot camp and other things. But I just want to give you that backstory a little bit about that. Now, number 3, how many other, in the blank, how many other clients would come from the nonprofits and the donors? So license to list. We're talking about listing property, right? So think about it. How many more listings could come to the table from that nonprofit that you just listed that property for? So your church that you've been going to 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, and there's probably at least 3 realtors in your church, maybe 5 or 10 among all the congregants. So-and-so's wife has a license too, and so-and-so's husband does it on the side, all these realtors in there. But you, instead of just sitting on a committee board out of your mind, on a board to put together a fundraiser, instead of just showing up to volunteer and just giving them $100 from every closing, what if you're the one that says, hey, there's a way that we can bring in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, dare I say millions of dollars without any of that? Do you think you'd get any other business from that congregation? Now, not all of the business is going to be a donation of real estate. So for example, let's say one of the people in your congregation has that extra hunting cabin and he's getting a little bit older, can't really use the hunting cabin. The son is a vegan and doesn't go hunt. And so he's like, you know what, I'd really like to donate this hunting cabin. And by the way, we're going to be talking about this more, about how this is not about trying to get dog crap properties that people can't get rid of. Get that out of your head. This isn't about the vacant strip mall or the house that's burnt out or that piece of land out in the middle of nowhere that has no access. Because the property needs to be marketable. First thing we're going to do is list it with you. First thing we're going to do is liquidate it. It needs to be something that will go under contract in the next 30 to 60 days. So why would we want something that nobody else can sell either? Unless they couldn't sell it because they were asking a price that wouldn't sell it, but because they're donating it and getting certain tax benefits, now we can reduce the price to get rid of it. But my point is, this isn't about crap property. This is about marketable good property. So here's this gentleman in your congregation. He's got his hunting cabin and he donates it. And because you're savvy and you have the unfair advantage, which we'll continue to talk about this week, you know how to let the congregation know that John Smith has donated that, and he might want to remain nameless and anonymous, and that's okay. We'll worry about all that later. But my point is that congregation is going to know you more than the other realtors. You are the creative one. You are the one that's maybe being seen in the media. You are the one that can now come and share with that whole congregation how this is going down and what you're looking for property. Now, I'm not saying that they're all, oh, I got a property. Oh, I got a property. No. But you are building rapport. You're building relationship. You're building credibility. You will get more business from that nonprofit. And what about that donor? Now, John Smith, who had this hunting cabin, guess what? He has other friends that used to hunt with him. He has other friends maybe at the country club. He has other friends who are looking at their estate planning, etc. And see, people will say sometimes, well, I don't know anybody that would donate real estate. Well, there are people that you know that have tattoos in funny places, but you don't know that either because it's never been a topic of conversation. So people haven't been talking about charitable gifting of real estate. So how would you know what they would or wouldn't do, or what they would like to donate, or who they know that would have property to donate? So the point of this is starting to create a whole different conversation, especially with us leading into holiday season. When you're at those Halloween parties and you're at Thanksgiving and you're at Christmas with all these people that you've always had the same conversations with, or now there's other parties that maybe you wouldn't normally have gone to, but you will now because you got something fun and interesting to talk about. And even if it's a Zoom, like, with social distancing, my point is all these different conversations, when you can talk about something that no one else understands, knows about, can facilitate, you will get more business from that. So, number 4, unemotional seller who is market savvy and understands pricing. So back to the comment that I made earlier about pricing. We are the seller. My partner is the seller. They are the ones that are going to be hiring you, and you'll learn how this works as this whole week goes by. See, for those of you who are watching this and you're like, why is she inviting us to sit on a video every day for a week? Well, because when you're talking about having a niche that no one else knows about or understands, when you're looking at a way of bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars instead of just going around looking for a raffle basket that you can hope to sell $5 tickets for, there's a little bit more conversation. Like there's some coaching to be done around this. There is, frankly, this is a $1,500 course that you're getting for free to get all the nuances about this. And my goal for you is that by Friday, you can go out and do one of these deals with or without us. And God bless you, help the nonprofits. They need you. And if you are a nonprofit and you can figure this out, thank God. Go save more puppies. Go save more veterans. Love it. Want you to do it with or without us. There's more than enough. This is about abundance. This is about, see, we have a community here of people who are only looking for solutions. We are only looking for people who want to be a part of creating something big and having this beautiful accountability and acknowledgement and working together to make stuff happen. So if you can do it on your own, great. We'd love to see you do it. The thing is that our unemotional seller who is market savvy and understands pricing, if you're a seasoned agent, you've met sellers who don't have that quality. I know it because I met lots of them too. Sellers are emotional and they're not market savvy. Have you met one of those sellers who tells you, oh, I used to sell property in California in 1982. I know how this works. Or God forbid, their sister is a real estate agent, so they think that they know everything. Or they are so emotionally attached to that house that all the notches on the door jamb where little Billy was growing up, and they bring you over and show you how they notched it when he was 9, and this is when he was 12, and oh, this is when he was 18. Guess what? They're emotionally attached to that house. They're hard to work with. They think the house is worth $50,000 more because little Billy's notches are in the door jamb. You know what I'm talking about? So to finally have a seller who is unemotional, now they are passionate about getting as much as they can for the nonprofits, about being as professional and easy to get along with. Not only are these guys efficient and effective and professional, they're some of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. Commercial real estate and philanthropic together is a beautiful thing. And We have all kinds of vetted resources at your disposal. This is just one that I'm bringing to your attention because it is so nice to have a seller who is not emotional and says, okay, this property appraises at $1 million. You've had it on the market for 2 years at $1 million. And it really needs to be at 800,000 and it would sell tomorrow. But the seller wouldn't drop the price because blah, blah, blah. But when you bring into the circumstances that they are donating the property, they are still going to be able to have that $1 million appraisal value as the basis for their tax deduction, regardless of whether or not it sells at 800,000. Now there's other options, right? So now we can drop that property to 800,000. It sells like that. You get your commission. The nonprofit gets money. The media learn about what we're doing, et cetera, et cetera. It's a beautiful thing. So number 5, be one of only 1% who will become I'm going to say this and then I'm going to give you the acronym. Certified Charitable Gifting of Real Estate Specialist, CCGRES. Certified Charitable Gifting of Real Estate Specialist. In order for you to have that designation, you need to have gone through the boot camp, which we'll be talking about, and you need to have done at least one deal. And the certification is another layer of what we're doing here. And by 2021, we'll start rolling out the certification. But the point is that none of that matters unless you've taken the boot camp and done a deal. Less than 1% of realtors will get that designation. So there are 2 million realtors in this country. 1% is 20,000. That may sound like a lot. It may not sound like a lot to you, but there's 400,000 realtors in the state of California. So in the state of California, for example, only 4,000 will qualify to be a specialist. But then in the state of New Hampshire, for example, there's only 6,000 realtors. And so of those 6,000, only 60 of them. So there's the 1%, no matter what state you're in, is going to be a small percentage of people in your marketplace who understand how this works. And just like anything else, when you are supply and demand, you're a commodity. And when you think about the reason why I say 1% is REO specialist, luxury property specialist, CCMI, all these different designations the agents can get were put together to get as many of them as possible. So you may be a luxury specialist, but there may be 58 more of them in your marketplace too. So didn't really make it that special. But the fact is, charitable gifting of real estate, the way that we have designed it, only 1%. And that is why you will even get referrals and introductions from other realtors in your marketplace. Imagine having other realtors in your marketplace that are normally your competition saying to you, hey, listen, I saw that article in the paper last week with you handing a check for $58,000 to the homeless kitchen. My church really needs a new roof. Can you help us do that too? And you say, yes, I can. So 1% gives you the unfair advantage. Now, points to ponder about today's training. What would it be like to be the only choice when it comes to listing a charitable gift of real estate? Think about that. What would it be like? Now, look, 10 years from now, maybe everybody knows how to do it. Like, a secret's not a secret forever. It's been a secret for 100 years because there's never been a system in place that has been taught to create proactive realtors and nonprofits up until this very moment. $8 billion a year is being done kind of quiet, kind of on the side, kind of randomly, just if a property owner happens to find a nonprofit that will do it, or somebody reaches out to our specialized nonprofit. In other words, it's happening, but it hasn't been happening on a grand scale until now. And you are in the first group that we are teaching it to. Now, remember, we're not teaching you something new. Charitable gifting in real estate has been around for 100 years. And our partners who can help to facilitate these very easily have been doing it for many years. And I have been a strategist my whole life, and a real estate agent in the top 5%, and a recruiter, recruiting 131 people into one company. In other words, all the pieces lead up to what we're doing now so that you can have the unfair advantage as a realtor or as a nonprofit. So, points to ponder. How many nonprofits, donors, high net worth friends would you have in 6 months, a year, or the next 10 years? In other words, when someone says to me, who would donate property? I always think, if that's a question that you have in your mind, that's a great reason for you to get involved with what we're doing. Because if you don't naturally know, oh, I know Mary and I know Ted and I know that guy over there that's got 48 properties, and there's that other high net worth guy that I see all the time at the parties that's always talking about donating $1 million. Like, if you don't know people like that, maybe it's time for you to meet people like that, because they're everywhere. Are you familiar with your reticular activator? Reticular activator. When you're pregnant, don't you notice babies everywhere? Doesn't everyone talk to you about babies? And what are you going to name the baby? And is it a boy or a girl? And do you already have your nursery put together? And baby strollers everywhere, baby car seats, da 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 da. Do you think that all the baby stuff showed up just because you're pregnant? No. Your reticular activator, you're now, you see it now. See, thank God I haven't seen baby stuff in years. It's all around me, I'm sure, but I don't notice it because my reticular activator is not activated on that. Think about the car that you drive. I have a car called a Veloster. It's a Hyundai Veloster. I saw it the first time out on the West Coast, and I remember thinking, this must be a West Coast car because I've never seen one of these. I come back to the East Coast, I go buy one, and now I see them. I don't see them everywhere like a BMW or a Toyota, but I've seen at least 100 in the last 2 years of having that car, and I had never noticed them before. It's the same thing with this. These high net worth, generous people are all around you, and it might be that you aren't being introduced to them, whether you're a realtor or a nonprofit, because the people you know 8 or 10 other realtors too. And God knows they know 50 nonprofits that need some help. So it may not be that people are just randomly introducing you to high net worth people, but guess what? When you have a specialty that benefits those high net worth people, the introductions are much more likely, especially when you have a strategist to help you figure that part out. All right. Home play. Jennifer came up with this. It's like homework, but we don't like to work here. We like to play. So home play. What causes you care about would benefit from these donations? So I'd like for you to take a pen and paper and really think about that. Some people that I know are like, man, my mother died of breast cancer. I love Positively for Pink. That's who I want to help. Awesome. I have 10 rescue animals, love animals. That's who I'm going to help. Awesome. There are other people who don't have something specific. They either A, are really good people and just want to help everybody and need to narrow it down, or they're really business savvy. And even though they don't know of any causes, they know that their business would be better if they were actually doing something for a cause. No matter what the scenario, what are the causes? And we would love for you to put them in the comments under this video. Like, who are the causes that you love? And if there is one that you really love, I'm going to go so far as to say shame on you if you don't post it here. How are they going to get donations? How are they going to get well known? How are they going to get volunteers? How are they going to get eyes on their website, on their events, if people who say they love them aren't willing to post them and be proud of it and acknowledge it? Say, I'm here and I love Homeland Heroes. I love, Annie's Angels is the name of a group here in this area that helps people with bills that are having, cancer and issues and things like that. Post it. Let us know who you love. Let us know who you love so that we can learn how to love you, like how to support you, how to be there for you. See, as this community grows, when we know that your thing is kids, foster kids, lots of people are all about foster kids right now. Those children that are aging out of foster care. Look, I was adopted at 9 months old. I was in a foster home for the first 9 months of my life. And even though I don't necessarily remember that, I have a soft spot for kids that never got adopted. So now they hit 18, the system's done with them and they're on the street or in jail so often of the times. And so there are nonprofits that are helping those kids and giving them, places to go and education, et cetera, et cetera. So who are those causes for you? Post them in the group. Next, home play. How much income would you like to add to your bottom line from listings that have no competition and full commission? Now, if you're in this group and you're a seasoned real estate agent, it could be that you're saying to yourself or out loud, well, I never have competition. Like when somebody gives me a referral, I go in and take the listing. I'm not competing, but of course I get a full commission. You mean there's agents out there that don't get a full commission? Never heard of that. I always get a full commission. Well, awesome. Good for you. How would you like to get 1, 3, 10, or 20 of them this year where 100% of the proceeds go to a nonprofit? Do your no competition full commission listings do that now? No. You may give them 10%. Like if you make $200,000 a year and you say, well, I normally donate 10% of my proceeds. I give $20,000. Thank you. Awesome. Super generous. That's one of the reasons why you're in this group, because you're super generous and you're already giving $20,000. But what if one listing that gave you a 6% commission or whatever it is for you, what if that one property gave $200,000? Would you be excited about that? What if you're already so seasoned and so professional that you don't even need any more income? What if you gave the full commission to that nonprofit? I'm just saying, like there's a lot of different directions to go with this. Now, action steps. Engage in the Facebook group. Look for the posts that Jennifer's going to put in. Who are the causes that you support and why are they important to you? We want to get to know you. We want to know, right? Like one guy in the group, his wife has had MS for 30 years and she's a big proponent and advocate for them. And, they've been on this journey together for a long time. Obviously, he's passionate about that. Michael Deshavi, who's in this group, has been a dear friend of mine for 15 years. I've taught him real estate. We work together in network marketing. He loves Make-A-Wish Foundation. He's done some stuff with the Make-A-Wish kids. Positively for Pink that I mentioned, Michelle Power. She's the founder of Positively for Pink. Her mother had cancer, not breast cancer. But because of that, Positively for Pink's mission is to help pay rent and mortgage and bills and things for women who are, and men get breast cancer too, who have survived. And now, we're falling on hard times. In other words, what is it for you? What is it for you? There have been a couple of people since I've been doing Facebook Lives. There have been a couple of people who've said they want to start their own nonprofit around preventing teenage suicide. Oh, my battery's about to die. 1 second. Let me plug us up. So these two ladies who are wanting to create these groups around suicide prevention, there's another woman in the group who already has created a 501c3 for suicide prevention. So I introduced them. In other words, this is about creating a community of people who say, ooh, I know a vetted resource that can help you with that. I know someone who can help you with that. And coming together to leave our legacy now, during our lifetime. You don't need to sit on boards for 3 to 6 months to plan an event that may or may not be canceled due to weather, due to COVID, or whatever else, hoping to bring in $5,000 or even $50,000. You can take one day, letting just a few people know about this, and cover their whole needs for a whole year. So let me see, is there any way for me to see if there are any questions? I'm not sure how to do that from here. So whatever questions you have, post them in the comments underneath. Remember, when you acknowledge every video, you're going to get the 20 plus sources of sizzling hot seller list and videos. And tomorrow, liquidation is hot. Fundraising is not. Now that we know a little bit more about how these properties, how we're listing them and why you're getting a full commission, and the conversation about competition. And by the way, competition versus collaboration. If you're in this group, whether you don't ever want to compete again, or whether you like to compete because you're just kind of competitive, either way, we're going to shift from the word compete to collaborate, especially on Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to start getting into how to collaborate more than compete. But tomorrow it is liquidation is hot. How is it that any and all nonprofit can participate in these proceeds from donations of real estate? I really feel like all of my experience in real estate and all of my experience with nonprofit and all of the investment that I've made in personal development and getting sober and being a single mother, building my real estate business and my speaking business, I feel like all of that have been little fibers that have come together to weave together the fabric of what we are doing today. And I am so honored to have you here in the group. I know that the most important precious commodity we have is time. And so each one of these hours this week, you are going to get my best. You are going to get information that you've never thought of to ponder, things you can bring back to your tribe and start doing now, and ways to bring 10 times the donations that you normally give to your nonprofit without taking money out of your pocket and actually putting money in your pocket. And you can be the hero. You can be the hero in your community, for your family, for the other businesses, because we're going to talk about how we can collaborate with this and partner and promote together. So this will be a really good use of your time this week. And I can't wait till Friday also, when I introduce you to the ideal sellers. See you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock.